Hello everyone, my name is Rafal and welcome to my vlog. So today's vlog I just want to dedicate it and talk about my recent post where I talk about 10 things headshot photographers don't want to hear from any potential client. I have received several emails from you guys, and basically most of you guys are asking how you can deal with those, I would say, comments or those things when we hear them from the client. So I just want to talk about them in details today and give you some kind of my approach to those situations. And most of the time whenever we hear those things from the client, we ignore them, and what happens is that cause that we're getting into some additional issues and problems, and we can kind of prevent them beforehand. Whenever we have situation with the client where there's red flag comes up, we can take, I would say, different steps to avoid upcoming problems and issues. And I want to talk about it because it's extremely important, and most of the time we learn the hard way. And most of the time what happens is we kind of know and we feel that there's something coming up and there will be issues. We just pretend that this is not going to happen. Maybe this time will be different, but that's not the case. And most of the time, that's leads us to additional, as I said, problems, and then we have to kind of go through that process all over again. So let's talk about it, let's discuss this, and then let's kind of like see this from different angles, and then maybe for the next time you guys are going to be able to prevent those situations. So let's jump into it, and let's start with point number one, which was I will get back to you in the next few months. So this is something very tricky because this is giving us, I would say, some kind of signal that the client doesn't want to work with us. And usually the way I react to this, first of all, you have to keep calm, because back in the days, I have to tell you, I was upset right away. My emotions are running high and I just don't want to basically work with this person anymore. I was unfriending them on Facebook and I just didn't want to deal with them anymore, because I knew kind of deep inside that these people, they just basically crossed me and they don't want to work with me, because that's what the kind of they try to tell you polite way they don't want to work with you. But nowadays what I'm trying to do, as I said, first of all, you have to keep calm, don't get upset, and try to dig a little bit more what is the reason why they want to wait. And so there's two, I would say, scenarios. One of them, if they kind of tell you straight ahead that look, you know what, maybe I need a little bit of time to get ready for this photo shoot. I need to get my hair, I don't know, prepared, or I need to get the wardrobe, or there's some kind of reasonable, I would say, reasons for, kind of changing the time. That is something to kind of think about it, and you have to pretty much just be nice and say, look, I will wait and I'll get back to you in the next month or two, and then we'll see where we at and we'll go from there. But let's say if the client is just trying to kind of give you some back off answer and they kind of confused about what they're trying to tell you, that means that probably they either found someone else, or they're not ready yet for the photo shoot, or they're scared. So there might be some kind of reasons that they don't want to work with you. Try to be calm, don't get upset, get back to the client in the next couple months or so and see where you're at. Maybe these people will come back, maybe they don't, but that's also part of the business. This is part of what we do, and we have to learn that not every client is for us, and we cannot get everybody at the front of our camera. So this is something what we have to kind of like learn to be a little bit more resistant, and then take the emotions out of equation and make sure this is not gonna bug us, because today we have this client, and maybe tomorrow we'll get another one who will be willing to work with us right away. So let's jump to the next point, which is I need to check with other photographers. So this is also kind of similar thing, but this is also telling us that we're on the list. We're not basically top priority for that client. They need to check other photographers, and they need to see you know, where they at and what they can get out of them. So what we can do in this case, usually what I'm trying to do, again, emotions keeping low, and make sure that I'm trying to understand the client and what is important for that person, what kind of things they're looking for, and what's gonna bring the value to them. And sometimes they will give you a straight answer, maybe the price is too high, or I don't like your style, or there's might be, I would say, a million other reasons. Maybe they're still on the search for someone who can fit them better. And again, we have to keep calm, and we have to make sure that we try to understand the client a little bit better and basically ask questions. What we can do to bring that value to the client? Sometimes we get straight answers, sometimes we don't. But the one thing, as I said, what we can do is try to, again, be more understanding and try to put our shoes in their feet and see where they're coming from, what they're looking for, and what they need. And then when we have these informations, it's much easier to approach them again and pretty much provide them the service or provide them the value what they are looking for. Okay, so the next point is, I'm a photographer as well. So this is something which sometimes is frightening, and most of the time whenever I get into those situations, you have to be very careful, because every photographer unfortunately has huge ego, and most of us, we know best what we do. And this is something which, for me, it's a, I don't want to say huge red flag, but I need to understand what they're looking for, and I need to know exactly what they want. If they started kind of pushing on you what they kind of want, and what how they try to manage this whole thing, that might be a little bit kind of disturbing and might cause a lot of issues. Especially, every photographer kind of have own way of working, and they have own approach to a lot of things. So we need to, again, understand what that photographer needs are and what they're looking for, and how much they're gonna try to impact on you, kind of the stuff what they want to do. And again, this is very sometimes might be very difficult, and basically we need to be very careful before we need to jump into those kind of deals. I've went through those things several times, and because I could prepare myself and I knew the person before, then we have few very serious discussions about how we're gonna work, and everything kind of end up on the very positive way. But that was after several bad experiences I had, and this is something where we have to be very careful. Okay, so let's jump into the next one, which is, I like your style, but that's what I want. So this is, again, something where someone is trying to kind of push on you, and they try to kind of make you something which maybe you are not comfortable with. And again, we have to be very honest with the client. This is what I do, this is my style, this is what you can expect from me, and you pretty much, they have to kind of accept that. You can actually push the boundaries a little bit and try to kind of do what they want you to do. But if, let's say, you're shooting headshots and that someone wants like completely different style of photography, they want to, let's say, full body portraits or some kind of things which you're not feeling comfortable with, or you're not you know, kind of, you're not familiar with, again, depends how desperate you are sometimes, and how you want to have this client, and how much you're willing to push your boundaries. And sometimes it's not easy, and especially because that might lead into from one thing to another, to the point where you're not going to be able even to deliver what the client is requesting. So it's good to kind of understand the client beforehand. And then usually what I do in those kind of cases, I ask them exactly what they want, what they're expecting from you, what their idea is. And as soon as you kind of break this down and you can decide it, okay, I'm okay with this, I'm open to kind of try this, or I'm capable of even doing this, and then you can make the final decision. But you have to be very, very careful, especially that might, as I said, lead to some things which you're gonna be totally lost in this entire process. Okay, so the next one is, I will wait till you have some promo offer. So this is, again, really tricky one, because you already know these people are kind of expecting from you to get some kind of deal. And this is something which I found is very difficult to deal with. Usually what I do, I'm asking them straight ahead, so what would make you happy and what kind of deal you would expect from me. If, let's say, they say, okay, I need, let's say, 20% off, or this is the price, I'm kind of okay, and this is the price I would be willing to pay, then you can also discuss, and then you can also kind of, you know, have these negotiations going and see if you feel comfortable with that offer. Sometimes it might be 10% or 20%, but sometimes people want 50% off, and this is unacceptable. So you have to be, again, very careful. Don't get your emotions kind of like running this whole thing, and just kind of discuss with the clients what are you able to do. But again, what I found, what is really important, and this is something what is really difficult sometimes, to basically say no. And this is also something which we have to learn, and we have to feel comfortable with saying no to some clients. And this is, again, experience. This is, I would say, also bad experiences. And you need to know also, and I'm sure you guys all run into those situations, that whenever you have people who are those kind of types which are only looking for a deal, those are the people you're gonna have the most problems with, because they have high expectations and they don't want to pay for this. And this is what's going to cost you a lot of problems, and it might cause you some additional issues which you're going to have to deal after. So make sure those type of clients, you're very strict with them, and you're telling them, you know, this is how this whole thing's gonna work, and this is how this is gonna kind of comes down to. And if they're not gonna accept that, we probably have to kind of say no to them. Okay, so the next point is, I have worked with other photographers and they all were very bad. So this is a big one, and this is something which I've experienced many times, and this is cause only problems. And you need to be prepared that if someone works with many photographers before and they were all very bad, you're probably going to be the next one on the list. And this is something which is just a big red flag for everybody, and you need to know, and you have to prepare yourself even if you want to work with those type of clients. I've been in this situation many times, and I've decided to work with them, and again, I just joined the list and they were upset because whatever you do, they're not going to be happy with, because that's their approach, that's their mentality, and this is something which again is going to be thrown at you, and you're going to have to deal with this. So with those kind of cases, you have to kind of prepare yourself to make sure that you're kind of apprehended in those kind of situations. So let's say they have to pay deposit, they have to pay everything before the shoot and stuff like that, so they're not gonna have some kind of, you know, reason to kind of, you know, throw this kind of bad stuff on you. Another thing which you have to be kind of careful, and this is something what also it might cause additional issues that may go after you on social media, and this is the biggest issue, because again, you might do the best work ever, and there's type of people who, as I said, they always unhappy, they always upset, and basically what happens is, even if you do something good, they will still find something bad about your work, and they're gonna try to go after you. So be very careful, try to dig into details a little bit more and try to understand why they're very bad and what were their experiences. And you know, you have to kind of understand where these people are coming from. And then the more you start digging into this, I would say, kind of mentality of the client, then you will understand a little bit better where they're coming from and what's the reasons why they have this kind of I would say opinion about all the photographers. So again, be careful, dig more into those kind of informations and try to understand the client, and then you can make the final decision if you want to work with that person or not. So the next point is your prices are way too high. So this is another, I would say, signal which you have to be very, very careful. And most of the time what happens is they don't actually put value in what you do. And this is very, very dangerous, because if you have that type of client, they're gonna try to kind of take the price down because, as I said, they don't see value there. So again, we need to understand the clients, where they're coming from, why they make this kind of like opinion, and we kind of have to at least try to explain to them or try to do something to bring the value back to whatever the prices we have. And the best way is pretty much education, and they have to understand the process. And usually what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to explain them my entire process of creating headshots. So, you know, going from the locations, you know, my time, retouching time, and all this stuff which you have to kind of combine to kind of show them how much work goes into it to, you know, kind of create something like this. And if they don't really see that, and they don't kind of bring the value up to what you do, then maybe this is, again, this is not the client which is for you. Basically, also our goal is to have the clients which not gonna ask those questions. It's not easy, because, you know, we're living in a world where one of the most important things of any service is the price. And sometimes what happens is, you know, if people don't see the value, you know, they don't kind of match this with the price. So we are after the clients which gonna see the value in our work, and they're not gonna question why we're charging that. It's not easy, it's a long process. We have to also provide them good service, and we have to provide them good quality images, but they have to see the value in what we do. Okay, so the next one is, I'm not photogenic and I hate being photographed. So this is a big one, especially I found nowadays, where we're living in a world where everything is photoshopped, everything is retouched, everyone looks perfect, and people have huge insecurities, and they're coming to you, they want to look good, and they already have in their mind that whatever we're gonna do, it's not gonna be good. And they hate themselves because they have some stuff which they are insecure about, and basically they're going to be throwing everything on us to make them look good, and we have to kind of prove them that they're okay. So again, the best way is to pretty much try to get deeper into those people mentality and see and understand what their insecurities. And sometimes they're little things, sometimes they're big things, and we need to understand them if we even able to meet their expectations. And it's not easy. Sometimes people hide those things and they don't open up, and they don't say anything, and then when you provide them with the photos, they will start kind of opening up a little bit, and they can say like, well, I don't like my nose, I don't like my hair, I don't like my whatever. And then, you know, all of a sudden we're, I would say, in the big problems, because it's not about the photos anymore, it's about their insecurities. And it doesn't matter what we do and how the good quality photo we provide them, they will still see the things which they feel insecure about. And again, nowadays it's a huge problem, and we need to understand this beforehand. This is a little bit of psychological approach to some of those things, but again, we need to understand them, and we need to be sure that we are able, again, to provide images which gonna makes the client happy. sometimes it's an easy process, sometimes it's a difficult process. Each person is different and have different approach to some of those things. But again, be aware of that whenever someone tells you this, because that might you kind of again takes you to some situation where you're not going to be fighting with the photos itself, you're going to be fighting with people insecurities, and this is much harder than anything else. And I've learned that on many occasions. I've done several vlogs about it, and you guys probably also heard some of those terrifying stories from other headshot photographers or photographers that might cause a lot of problems. Okay, so the next one is I'll promote you. So this is again something that it's very common nowadays. I found that whenever I heard that, they looking for the discount and they looking for some kind of deal. I like when people promote me, but when someone tells you this beforehand, that means they have some hidden agenda that they want to get some kind of deal. I'm not gonna go deep into this, but whenever you heard that, usually what I say is I will really appreciate your help, and I will be more than happy that you will promote me, but let's do the photo shoot first and then we're gonna go from there. Because most of the times what happens is people who say that before the photo shoot, again, they're looking for the deal, and people who don't say that and they will promote you anyways, I would prefer to see more of an action from someone after the words when they like the photos and they recommend me. Instead, they trying to kind of like throw that at you beforehand and kind of get something out of this. So this is most of the time something which doesn't work for me, but you know, this is something which you have to be careful and make sure, you know, this is not going to lead you to some kind of situation you don't want to be in. Okay, so the last one is I have very tight budget. So we kind of discussed this before, but this is another big one, because for them the most important thing is the price. It's not the photos, it's not the quality of your work, it's pretty much budget and how much they have to pay for it. So again, you have to be very careful with those people, and you have to also understand where they're coming from, why the price is so important for them, and you have to somehow bring the value you up. Again, you know, most of the time when someone tells you that they have a tight budget, that means they already have the number in their head, and doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you say, they want to kind of stick to that number. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you need to understand what their budget is. The best way is just to ask, okay, so what's your budget and how much you would like to spend on this photo shoot, what you would like to get out of this, and then you can make a decision if this is going to work for you or not. Because sometimes, as I said, it's just a significant difference. Sometimes, you know, it's crazy numbers that, you know, someone pretty much expecting you to do for free, and you have to decide it, you know, what you can do to kind of make this work. Most of the time what I found whenever someone tells me this, it's caused only problems, because you know they have their numbers, this is what they want, and usually they have much higher expectations, but they already decided how much your value is, and this is not good because they don't understand the process. As I said before, this is very unhealthy, I would say, relationship with the client, and you know, then we're gonna get frustrated, and you know, it's gonna kind of one thing leads to another, and it's pretty much just problems at the end. So that would be everything for this. It was a very long vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure there's a lot of questions on the top of that. Please feel free to email me or contact me if you would like to comment on this. Please also leave the comment down below in the description. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Again, thank you for watching. Stay tuned. I'll be chatting with you guys very shortly. Bye bye.